I made a video review of the Niner Rip 9, which you may have seen. It's also available on YouTube. And when I was making the video, I'd made a reference to a Pivot Mach 5 that I used to own. And I made a comment that I hadn't had a chance to ride a Rip 9 and a Pivot Mach 5 back to back. And after I made the video, I really got curious of what it would be like to do that. And so I have a buddy who has a Pivot Mach 5, and this is it right here. And I'll show you the bike a little bit more in detail in a second. But I borrowed the bike and went out today on my local trails and rode the two back to back. So I wanted to make some comments of what I noticed when I did that. This is the Mach 5, and I won't take a real long time to go over this setup, but this is a really sweet Mach 5. It's got a full XTR group. It's got a DT Swiss shock on it. It's got a Fox Float 140 and some really nice FSA components. I put my own XTR pedals on it, and this is a really sweet setup for this bike. The wheels are real burly. They're probably a little bit heavy compared to you know, like a light Stans wheel set, but they're definitely durable. This is my Rip 9, and I'm not going to go over the details of the setup because I did that in my review in the past, but basically it's got a Stans Flow wheel set, SRAM XO and X9 components, a Fox Talus 120 fork, and a carbon riser bar. So on the scale, the Pivot Mach 5 comes in at 28.14 and the Rip 9 at 29.46. Both of these I just weighed with pedals. I rode the Pivot Mach 5 first, and I hadn't been on a 26er in quite a while, with the exception of test riding a Giant Trans X earlier this year. And when I jumped on the Mach 5, you know, the first thing I noticed is that it steered quick, which is obvious. And it was really, 26ers are a lot of fun. And the reason I wanted to make some comments about the two is because as far as a race bike, I'm set on a 29er. There's no way I'll go back to a 26er, because as far as speed is concerned, for me, 29ers are faster than 26ers. But trail bikes aren't quite as cut and dry, because time doesn't matter typically on a trail bike. What matters is fun. And so 26ers are really a lot of fun. I'm not going to discount that. This bike is really stiff and it handles really well. I will say that it does take getting used to, and that's the reason I went with a 29er trail bike, is because I didn't want to go back and forth between the wheel sizes. And honestly, after today, I kind of confirmed that, because I kind of oversteered on the Mach 5 a couple times and almost went off the trail because it's just a different type of steering. One thing that kind of surprised me on the Mach 5 is going over jumps. On the trail that I rode, there's a little dual slalom course, and it has some jumps on it. And jumping on the Mach 5, I'm not a kind of guy who really pops jumps and tries to get a lot of air. I just kind of take the air that comes with the momentum I have. And the Mach 5 felt less stable than my Rip 9 does in the air, even less stable than my Giant Anthem X 29er, my race bike. So there's you get more of that dead sailor type feel in the air with a 26er if you're used to a 29er. So that actually surprised me. So I got back to the parking lot and jumped on the Rip 9, and the Mach 5, you know, when you're going downhill, going around corners, is a lot of fun. And honestly, I was kind of thinking about possibly getting a 26er down the road because of that. However, when I jumped on the Rip 9, it's amazing to me how agile the Rip 9 feels. And going down hills, you really have that same feel that you get on a 26er trail bike. Now, when I first jumped on the Rip 9, there was a little bit of adjustment period as well. That bike sits up a little bit higher, and so there's a little bit of a adjustment period with the front wheel. But after I got back adjusted to the Rip 9, I felt like I could just attack the trail a little bit harder, because the bike felt more stable. And again, in the air, on the little jumps that are on that course, the Rip 9 felt really stable for the kind of way that I get air. If you're one of the guys that just likes to, you know, nail jumps and pop them and get a lot of air, you know, a 26er might be able to pop the jumps a little bit better. But as far as jumping with momentum, 29ers are just really, really stable. One thing that I did today was I timed myself on a few sections. Not that time really matters on a trail bike, it's more about fun. But you also don't want to be lagging way behind your buddies when you're out riding on a trail. It was really interesting when I did the times. I did 2 flat sections. The first section was 3 minutes and 10 seconds on the Pivot Mach 5. When I got on the Rip 9, it was the exact same time on the Rip 9, 3:10. There's another section that I did that's real short, that's just real flowy, fast, flat, single track with kind of some bermed areas, and it was 46 seconds on the Mach 5 and 46 seconds on the Rip 9. When the elevation changed, that's when the bike separated a little bit as far as the time. I had a section that was through some trees, again real fast and flowy, but more of a downhill. It was 46 seconds on the Mach 5 and 44 seconds on the Rip 9. And then the most interesting section was there's a kind of a steep grind on a grass hill, and I was 53 seconds going up the hill on the Mach 5, and surprisingly I was 48 seconds on the Rip 9. So that time I expected really honestly to be a little bit slower on the Rip 9, but just the momentum, if you can keep momentum going up a hill, 29ers really carry a lot of momentum when you're going up. So just a few final comments on the 2 bikes. One is, if I owned a 26er as my race bike, I would also have a 26er as my trail bike, and the Pivot Mach 5 would probably be my choice. The only other bike that I've ridden that comes close is a Giant Trans X. That's also a really fun bike, although I'd put a longer fork on than what's spec'd from Giant. So again, owning a 29er as my race bike, I don't want to go back and forth between wheel sizes, and so the Rip 9 is my choice of a trail bike. So both of these bikes are really fun as trail bikes. It's hard to say that one would be better than the other. They're both stiff bikes. They both have a good amount of travel for what they're designed for, and they're fun. Any bike you go with is going to be fun. It's much better than riding a white line on a road behind guys with shaved legs. It's a mountain bike, so they're both going to be fun. My comment is, again, whatever wheel size you use for another bike, if you have a race bike, I would stick with the same wheel size. If you're just wanting to go out there and buy a trail bike as your only bike, I really think you need to test ride both of them. For me, the Rip 9 just feels a little bit more stable. You have more confidence when you're attacking, especially downhill sections and rough sections. They both feel like they have about the same amount of travel, even though the Mach 5 is about 20 millimeters more travel in the front and probably half an inch more in the back. They both feel about as plush. The only time they'll feel a little bit different is if you just huck off a drop or do a jump and you land real hard and flat. The Mach 5 is probably going to land a little bit softer just because it does have that extra travel. But on a trail, when you're going through rough stuff or going on a downhill, they feel really about the same as far as the travel. So I hope my curiosity of bikes has at least been entertaining for you, or maybe giving you some more information on these 2 trail bikes. So thanks for watching.